Next in line is Andrew Cunningham, who's Managing Director for Walkabout Resources. Mr. Cunningham is a geologist with extensive cross-discipline technical and management experience in the minerals industry, predominantly in Africa and Australia. He's worked in a large range of commodities, including uranium, iron ore, graphite, diamonds, gold and base metals, and has managed all facets of exploration and development projects. In Africa, from project generation to feasibility studies and project startup. He's held senior exploration positions with major international mining companies, including BHP, Rio Tinto and De Beers, as well as with various listed juniors. He has a BSc in Honours in Geology from University of Stellenbosch in South Africa and is a life member of the Geological Society of Namibia and a member of the Australian Institute of Geosciences. Would you welcome Andrew Cunningham to the podium?
That's a good start. Good morning, Honourable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Minister, I'm not going to talk about Malawi, but Tanzania is your neighbour, so close enough. Look, we're here to promote exploration and mining in Africa and the long relationship between Australia and various countries in Africa. And I saw this quote in the Tanzanian newspaper, The Citizen, yesterday. The green and gold umbilical cord between Australia and Tanzania, which I thought was quite cute, and shoved it in there. Disclaimer, if you guys can read that at your own time. So the Lindi Jumbo Graphite Project, which we discovered in 2015, is a unique deposit. It's a long life, high margin graphite deposit in southern Tanzania. It's the highest margin graphite project currently under development in the world. It's one of two listed companies developing a graphite project in the world. We took this decision years ago. We said, let's not just talk about this, let's develop this thing. It's de-risked with all approvals in place. Construction is underway and has got outstanding low capex, low opex, and a huge growth potential upstream and downstream. It's got a very short payback period of less than 2 years, a long life of mine of 24 years, EBITDA of $44 million per year average over the life of mine, and as I said, a huge growth potential. It's de-risk and in development. As I said, it's got one of the highest grade, or the highest grade of any undeveloped, but I should say in development now, reserve in Africa of graphite. It's a long life of mine of plus 24 years with a huge upside potential there. The reserve is based on only 37% of the measured and indicated resources only. It's all licenses approval are in place, all material contracts are in place. It's been independently reviewed by SRK with no fatal flaws. Binding sales agreement for 100% of our product produced in Tanzania is in place for a minimum period of 5 years, and that's renewable. And it's under construction in progress. There's only 11 million of the capex cost still to be incurred, and we've spent about $23 million in development to date. The graphite market, I'm sure my colleagues that are going to be talking about graphite will be saying more about this. It's been fairly strong over the past year or longer, past couple of years, mainly driven by the EV market. There's been a 30% uptick in graphite prices, which is driven by the finer flake, but it's forecasted to grow, and whoever you listen to, up to 500% over the next 20 years. So the time to get into graphite is now, and our timing is right. Being under construction, I'll speak more about that just now. And already there's a deficit predicted for this year and next. So we think that this is the time to get into graphite, and fortunately we are currently in development. So what everybody would like to talk about is the funding. We are the only company globally in the graphite industry that has a debt funding facility through CRDB in Tanzania. There has been a hiccup in that, or a delay in the drawdown. Therefore, our shares have been suspended, but it's still in play. The conditions precedent, the last one is got to do with security over the loan, and that is the one that we're working on at the moment. We've gone back to the bank with various alternative options around that, which they're currently considering. That said, we don't want to delay the project too much, so we've gone back to the market to raise the necessary capital to get the project to completion, and that's currently in play as well. While the debt funding facility is still in play, we have the option to scale back on the rights issue should that come through before the close of the rights issue. And like any other junior company in the world, you will always have a plan B, C, and D, and we are working on all those alternatives at the same time. Those are just a bunch of photos that we took, aerial photos of the development over the past year or so, so you can see quite a bit happening on site. So what are the differentiating factors of this deposit? First of all, of this project, it's the resource. It's a unique resource, and the entire project is driven by the uniqueness of this resource. It's high grade, and most of the flakes in the ground are above 300 microns. So we quickly decided when we saw this is that we have to come up with a solution to preserve as much as possible of these flakes into the concentrate, and therefore a very simple flow sheet, and one of the highest margins graphite deposits in the world, and highly skewed towards the larger flake in concentrate. This is not only a battery story, our story is large flake graphite. Although about a quarter of our product will be suitable for the battery market, and that's the minus 150 microns. The mining is simple. It's a small, easy deposit to mine. We've said that all along, and we are mining at the moment. It's fairly simple to distinguish the graphite on the ground. We've done our first blasts. We stockpiling the graphite, and one of the lowest risk areas of this project. The processing, the high grade nature of the ore, obviously means a smaller plant, less tonnages through the plant, around about 230,000 tons a year through the plant, which is much easier to manage. And the scale is good for what we want to do. It's a small plant, easy manageable. Remote Africa, you need to take these things into consideration. And then again, the premium flake, the large flake in concentrate, mainly about 75% of our product is above 180 microns, which is unique in the graphite world. And one of the differentiating factors that I don't have there is that we're currently under construction. So as I said, the mineral resource is what drives this thing. The reserve is based on 37% of the indicated and measured resources only. And you can see there that at the bottom right is the photo of the open pit currently being mined, and we've got a stockpile of 9,000 tons of high-grade ore, around about 1,600 tons of contained graphite in that stockpile already. Do your own sums on it. It's a couple of $1 million worth of graphite lying on the stockpile. That's conservatively estimated. I've recently sent a sample to China for concentrates, about 3 tons of sample that I sent there. I got phoned back and they said there's a problem with the sample, the grade is too high. It's running at 40% total graphitic carbon. That's randomly chosen from 3 trenches that we dug in 2019. So you can see a nice problem to have is the high-grade nature of this deposit. So what's happening on site? The front end is complete or virtually complete now, from the ROM pad, the ROM bin, fine ore bin. The conveyor belts are in place all the way to the concentrator building. That's where the next focus, or that we currently focus on now. About 63% of the equipment is already on site, with the remainder ready for shipping out of China. And we're focusing on getting with a very small team on site, is installing the equipment that is on site and prioritizing these before the next shipments arrive once we get going again. The mining is in progress. The TSF is being built as we speak. You can see the top left-hand photo there of the tailings storage facility. And that's why we started mining, because a lot of the waste rock has been used in the construction of the tailings dam. The stockpile I've spoken about, on site, ready for the commissioning phase of the plant. And one thing that we didn't keep in mind when we started building this project is that grid power would be supplied to the site. The 33 kVA line is already on site, with the 4.5 megawatt line about 3 kilometers from site, and the equipment to complete that has been delivered to site. That is a huge win for the project. As I said, our margins are already the best in the industry, but 26% of our cost, our operating cost, will be power. This makes a big difference to that. Grid power is obviously much cheaper than diesel fire generators. A lot of the other construction, the equipment in China, you can see the photos down there, the threashing mills, the dryer, the bagging facilities, all ready for shipment. QAQC has been done with the help of the Access Group, who's also sponsoring this event. None of us could get to China. None of our engineers could get to China to do the checks on the equipment. And Access Group was already in country and did a sterling job for us, and also helped us with the logistics, the shipping, the planning thereof, and prioritizing of the shipments to Tanzania. The orders for the outstanding equipment will be placed. That's off the shelf that we need to buy these things. Should the funding be finalized this month, that will start, and the final ships will be arriving in Tanzania before the end of the year. So this is just a very rough timeline of a cartoon section of the Gantt chart, and you can see there that construction, the civils is planned for completion before the end of the year. The mechanical construction of the plant will be completed early in 2023, and then we'll go into the dry and wet commissioning of the plant and first production in the first half of next year. From the start, has been a very aggressive timeline. To date, we've unfortunately run a bit behind time because of our funding issues and drawdown of the debt facility from the bank. But this is as we see fit, as we see it now, with the funding being to be completed by the end of this month. Binding sales agreement. We've had a long-lasting relationship with Wogan Pacific. First met them years ago in London. We are dealing mostly with their Hong Kong office. They will buy 100% of our product for a period of 5 years. Payment, 80% of the payment is done with the loading of the ship in Tanzania, and that is done on the perceived value of the consignment. And there's a working capital facility in place of them. This is a big win for us as well. Instead of waiting for payments with shipments going wherever they are in the world. Obviously, graphite is very China-focused, but there is a lot of queries and from outside of China. People are looking to diversify their supply. They see where we are in our construction progress. They see line of sight to production. So these are much easier conversations having at the moment. The pricing is related to the market price at the time. It's not fixed and long-term pricing contracts, these. Resource growth potential. This is just an exploration target. We have 175 square kilometers surrounding our mining license under our control. EM has been done over parts of it, coincides with high-grade graphite. It's always our target, high-grade, large flake. We've got another project in the north of the country, which was also a well-known graphite district, and there's an exploration target over there. So up to between 70 and 170 million tons of graphite. It's never has been our intention to delineate the biggest graphite deposit in the world. There's no point to it in our opinion. We've always gone small, pragmatic, and manageable, and get into the market, be selling your graphite into the market, and then grow into the market. We have the potential to do that. Growth opportunities. We've had excess capacity in the plant without spending any more capex, a 23 excess capacity. And with a small expenditure of capex, we can further increase that up to 60,000 tons per year. As I said, increasing of the JORC resources, drilling what we have next to the mine, it's just a matter of drilling it out further to get it into the measured or indicated category so you can add to the reserves. And we have looked at the downstream opportunities. We're just not focusing on that. We want to focus to get this mine into production, get it running profitably before we shift our attention to the downstream opportunities. That's just a photo of our first drill hole in 2015. I had to climb a tree to send a message to Australia that the drilling is in place. Alan Mulligan, the managing director at the time, said it gives him a warm, wet feeling. So we're a well-known citizen in the country. Last year we won the AMEC award for our social programs on site. The Prime Minister's been to site. He said this is the way he wants all countries or all companies to operate in Tanzania because of the way that we've had memorandums of understanding in place with the local communities since day one, our philosophy of employing local first, and the way that we're going to incorporate the local villages into our share profit plan. They will own about 5% of the project going forward. Logistics infrastructure is pretty good. Currently, the last 60 kilometers of gravel road is under construction, a huge highway going in there. As I said, grid power to site. There's talk of getting the gas pipeline diverted to Rongwa, which is close to us. That will also obviously help with the grid power, although the southern circuit has a huge spinning reserve in it, therefore the 4.5 megawatt power line to site that's currently under construction. The ESG principles, as I said, we're well known in the country. We've never had any issues. Our RAP, relocation assistance program, was done according to the law within 6 months after it was completed. The payments were done. There were no comebacks on that. We've had the mining license under our control for the entire period with no issues whatsoever. A lot of donations going into the community, but we've been very careful of not over-promising and then not delivering. The community knows exactly where they stand with us. They know what to expect from us, and they know that once we're in production, it's a different story. Money is very tight. We keep it very tight to get this project to schedule or to budget, or as close as possible there too. Last night it was said about our community vaccine program. That was very well accepted by the communities. A huge take-up. 100% of our employees are vaccinated, with a huge take-up in the local communities. And I'd just like to thank you, and obviously we wouldn't have got here with the kind support of our contractors, from the local contractors, TNR, that's doing all the civils and earthworks, Jinpeng, who's our EPC contractor and a major shareholder in the company, and various others that have been supporting us and being very understanding to date. Access Group, iBulk, all of these people. So we thank them very much. Thank you.